Hi everyone. Today I sat down with Jesse Carstairs. He is a men's relationship coach. We talked all about biblical truth, neuroscience, the difference between men and women, and he gave some of his perspective on homeschooling. Absolutely loved it. It was very interesting. I learned a lot of new things that I'm going to take away from this, and I hope you do too. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm very excited to talk with you and hear a little bit more about your men's coaching. If you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, that would be great.
Well, Beth, my name is Jesse Carstairs, and I am a follower of Christ first and foremost. And I am fortunate enough to also be a husband and a father. And that's the gist of it. That's who
That's
I am.
great. That's great. How
Mhm.
did you get into men's coaching and what kind of inspired that journey?
Oh, that is my wife. She was telling me that I was coaching her friends already. So why
Mhm.
not get paid? And she's like, put
Right.
it out on social media. And I had no interest in being social media famous for
Yeah, sure.
talking about a relationship. And she was the one who just kept pushing, put more out there about
Mhm.
our dynamic on social media.
That's
So
amazing.
it wasn't something I chose. It was something God and my wife chose for me.
Mm, I love that. That's great. Did you kind of see a transition overnight where you were getting lots of engagement, or was it kind of a slower process? I guess it seems like people really resonate with your content.
The very first parenting video I put up, I went from 65 followers on Instagram, just people who knew me in high school and
Sure.
college, right? Friends and family, to over 800 in the matter of like 3 days.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that parenting video had like some 500,000 views in the like 3 days. And then
Oh
she
my
was like, put
gosh.
one on like marriage. And then a couple videos later, it went to like 8,000.
Ah,
And then a couple videos later, it went to like 30. And
that's
it just
amazing.
kept going. Yeah.
That's great. And what have you learned personally from coaching?
I believe that it sharpened me. It
Mm,
holds me accountable as well from coaching.
yeah,
If I had to pick something that I learned, it's that. And ma- 99% of like the problems, and I put in air quotes, problems that men have are all the same, but they all just
mm,
think it's their own marriage, their own individual life,
yeah,
but they're all the same.
yes,
And it's not necessarily their fault in a sense that they didn't have fathers who truly discipled them
sure.
to understand what it looked like to be good at being a man or to lead a household.
Mm, that's really good. Well, and you said there about how it's impacted you, that there's that verse, iron sharpens iron,
Mhm.
and that's amazing how it's impacted you and impacted so many people on social media. That's great. And how did you kind of learn to coach? Is it just kind of like a natural skill, or is it something that you kind of studied? How did that happen?
I'm gonna say it's a mix of both.
Mm,
And my wife used to give me a compliment that I was a natural coach.
mm,
She'd be like, tell me, you're coaching people already for free.
yeah,
You understand people, you're able to read people. So that was, I guess, a gift. And then, and then through trial, like
yeah,
learning different people, how to approach different people, because everybody may have similar problems, but their personalities are different.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I had three I had two nephews. I say three because there's three nephews, but one's way older. I had two nephews who my aunt and uncle would have me watch when they were really
Mm,
young. And I mean
yeah.
like 6 and 8 when they were, 4 and 6. And
Hmm.
even though those two, they were brothers, same household, they had such different personalities. And when they
Hmm.
were really little, I noticed I had to approach them both different. And their own
Oh, yeah.
dad wouldn't approach them different. He would just parent them the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
And we joke now because they're adults, married, how when they were so much younger, I had to notice like you could tell one to do this and run through a wall and he'd do it. You had to tell the other one, like, here's how I can articulate this to you. Here's why we're
Mm,
doing it.
yeah.
How we'll succeed getting through the wall. and here's step 1 through 20. And then he would do
Mm,
it. If you just told
yeah.
him to run through it, he would just ignore you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I learned
That's
that
amazing.
really young watching them.
That's really cool. So, since we serve homeschooling families at Next Era, do you have any advice for families? Like, what would be your like top three tips that you would give to families since they're homeschooling?
In regards to homeschooling,
Yeah, in regards to homeschooling or, parenting because, they're together more often than a public school family. They have more time together. What would be your advice in those types of situations?
my biggest piece of advice would be for fathers to love their mothers,
Mm,
fathers
that's
to love their wives, the mothers of their children, because the data is very clear that the most
yeah.
confident, emotionally stable children come from households where the fathers truly love and show affection to their mothers. So
That's
right off
really
the
good.
bat, that's going to have to be number one.
Yeah. Yeah.
We homeschool our children,
Oh, great.
and one of the things that I tell people about homeschool is if you're homeschooling, well, don't be so focused on bringing the school inside of your home,
Yeah.
thinking you're going to have your 6-year-old boy sit at a table for six
Mm-hmm.
hours and
Mm-hmm.
just
Yeah.
learn to learn. Um, but you have so much more access to them.
Yeah.
One, but I think we don't put in the work. And by putting in the work, we're not intentionally discipling them. All we tell
Mm,
them is like no's, don't do this, don't do that,
yeah.
versus truly getting them that foundation to understand their identities in God.
That's good. That's really good. So how long have you been homeschooling and how did you get inspired to do that?
I have two children under 10, and we've
Great.
always homeschooled. They've never been in
Wonderful.
public school. They've never been in any sort of schooling, preschool, or any of that.
Sure, sure.
It was
That's
something
great.
I always knew I wanted to do before I ever had kids.
Mm, that's great.
Yeah.
And why did you want to do that? Like what kind of inspired your thinking?
I didn't want to outsource the raising of
Sure.
my children.
Yeah.
I didn't want to outsource the parenting and the influence of my children. And it
That's
makes
good.
me sad that we have fathers who want to have someone else raise their children.
Yeah.
We feel the need, we encourage mothers to go back to work and have someone else raise their children
Yeah.
for the sake of buying a boat and going on vacations,
Mm.
right? That extra
Oh, that's
income.
good. Yeah.
But so many parents, they were raised by the daycare system, and therefore they have their
Yeah.
own attachment issues. Therefore, they
Mm-hmm.
don't see the need to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah.
And for me, culturally, I think men and women have been bamboozled into a two-parent income.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. So you said something there about attachment style because a parent was in daycare. Do
Mhm.
you have any advice for families who may have done, the daycare and then the traditional public school? Do you have advice on how they can kind of parent and shift their mindset from that to a homeschooling mindset?
Don't get caught up in the world because
Mm,
the world is going to encourage that,
yeah.
right? The world is going to
Mhm.
encourage her that you're going to give up a career when women have the ability to have a longer career later in life than men
Yeah.
do because men usually are in like we'll just say a construction.
Yeah.
Nobody wants the 70-year-old dude who's going to repair their roof with his 70-year-old friend to climb up on their roof. They're going to be like, dude, you're going to
Right.
fall off my roof. I want the like
Right.
30-year-old guy, the
Mm-hmm.
25-year-old guy. But now, if you saw a woman who was an executive or was on the board of a nonprofit she's 75 and her friend's 75, it's like, cool, there's nothing wrong with
Yes.
that picture
Yes.
versus men coming in doing construction at 75. Like,
Mm,
that's not
yeah.
something that people look for.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I never thought of it that way. And then to kind of transition back to your men's coaching, what are your typical top five tips for men to work on emotional regulation at home?
Well, one is you have to understand what a regular emotional regulation means. or
Yeah.
emotional intelligence. We'll go with emotional intelligence
Yeah.
because with underneath that umbrella is regulation. So it's
Yeah.
the ability to understand, respond. I actually have it written down. I want to get
Oh
the
yeah, please. That'd
actual
be great.
definition. Okay, so emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize, understand, regulate, and respond wisely to emotions, whether that be
Mm,
yours or others.
yeah, that's really good. And I think
So,
that's really a missing piece of our culture today. I
mhm,
mean, I think we're probably the most anxious, the most depressed, and the most aggressive that we've ever been. You can
mhm.
see it just driving with all the chaos that happens on the road. So, what do you said about the definition of emotional intelligence? Do you have any other tips that you would suggest?
Yeah, we have to understand where our identity is.
Mm,
And most men, even women, we get caught up in having our identity and our roles. So
mm,
roles are what you do.
yeah.
Identity is who you are. And
Mm,
I'll meet men who say, I'm an engineer, I'm a husband,
hmm. Yeah.
do XYZ. I'm
Hmm.
a protector, provider. And it's like, okay, all of those are roles, and those roles will change. Your
Mm,
engineering
that's
role, if you were to retire or you own your own business, so let's say you sell it, that role changes.
yeah,
Your role at your company that you're at right now could change. You could be
that's right.
promoted, you could
Mm,
be demoted, you could
yeah.
go sideways, right?
Hmm.
In the company, and that role will change.
Mm, that's
But identity is who you actually are. And too many people
yeah.
define themselves by that, which really, if you think of Matthew 7:24 through 27, he talks about building your foundation on a rock, not on
Mm,
sand.
yes.
And
Mm,
men who don't know their identity, they're built on sand. So when the storm comes, there will be a great fall.
yeah, that's really good. I love that. I think that's really encouraging. Just that like perspective shift mentally is really important. And then I think you have talked about creating order and peace in the home. So can
Mhm.
you kind of go a little bit deeper on your suggestions for that, how men can do that?
Yeah, if I'm going to create order, that means that I submit to Christ, right? If
Mm,
we think
yeah,
of Ephesians 5:21 through 33, all of that 5:21 through 33, right?
yeah, yeah.
5:21 tells us as a couple to both submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. That reverence could be out of like the word identity, out of our identity in Christ that we both submit.
Yeah.
Um, 1 Corinthians 11:3 says, Christ is the head as man is the head of his wife. Your wife is not going to follow you if you're not following the Lord. It's just going
Yeah.
to be, you guys are going to be what I call out of balance, right? You are
Mm-hmm.
not going to be in that true alignment. So if we
Yeah.
are going to create order, our wife, we're her soft landing. And then if we feel we
Mm,
have no soft landing, it's like, well, where's your relationship with Christ? He's our soft landing. So we have to keep
mm,
that alignment, right? We have to have
yeah.
that identity in him. Paul states his identity about 12 times in Jesus, but indirectly he states it about 100 times.
Mm,
If we
mm-hmm.
read Psalms, King David, I mean,
Yeah.
he gives every bit of credit, whether it's his physical strength going into battle, to the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Every
Mm-hmm.
bit. So his identity, King David, is in the Lord. Our
Yeah.
identity should be in him. And
Yeah.
then that can, in regards to the peace, anytime our wife has an emotional storm, we'll call it, or we feel like the house is on fire, too many men leave and they avoid and they get defensive. But if you're
Mm,
grounded in your identity, you can go in and you can cover her, right? You can
yeah.
be there for her emotionally and support her. So therefore, there is peace. And when
Mm,
you're leading that home and she feels equally emotionally safe as she does physically, those are going to be fewer and far between because she can express herself to you emotionally.
yeah. That is
Majority of
really good.
women just have nowhere to go emotionally.
Yeah, yeah, that's really good. I think that's really profound advice. And then kind of along the same lines, how can men improve their communication skills?
Oh, it's getting in the reps. You're
Mm,
gonna have to practice. You're gonna have to listen. You're gonna have to not take it personal.
mm,
When I say pursue your wife, it's pursue her in an understanding way. Again, that
mm-hmm,
emotional intelligence, understand. So the
mm-hmm.
emotional intelligence, you're gonna have to understand, right? That doesn't mean you
Yeah,
fix. That means you're gonna listen. You're
mm,
going to understand
that's
where
so
she's coming
important.
from, why she feels this way, no matter how illogical she sounds, or if it's like, oh, this is a simple fix.
Yeah,
Men have to
yeah,
understand when it comes to communication, men and women, we are different. God
mm,
literally made us different.
mm-hmm,
The logical and emotional part of a woman's brain are in the front of her head and they're right next to each other.
mm-hmm,
Men, our logical and emotional parts are on completely opposite sides of the brain. One's in the back, one's in the front.
mm,
It wasn't on accident,
right.
but too many men, we communicate with our wives as if they're just a dude, an inside out version of a dude.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah,
just not
yeah.
it's not even what the neuroscience would say. We're wired differently, and we have to
Mm.
understand that.
That is really good. And then we talked a little bit about homeschooling already, but how can young men and then also homeschooling dads specifically work on creating order in the home? If you want to dig a little deeper into that.
Well, I think they have to demonstrate it, right?
Mm,
Because the
that's true.
homeschooling part has nothing to do with them creating order, but
Right.
they have the opportunity to be so hands-on and disciple their sons
Yeah.
because they have more access to them. And
Mm,
again, they can't just say, don't do this, do that, right?
yeah.
My sons read the Carstairs Creed every
Mm.
day. It tells them
Ah,
that they were created on purpose. It
oh,
tells
that's
them they were
great.
created, with skilled intention, like Psalms 139,
Hmm.
13. They were chosen before the creation of the world, Ephesians 1, 4.
Yeah.
It tells them that, it is God who lit the fire within them and no man can put it out.
That's really good.
But men will say, I didn't raise my son that way. But it's like you talk to them about that one thing one time ever throughout their entire upbringing.
Hmm.
Do
Hmm.
you create multiple touch points around everything? And do you know that they're loved unconditionally? Do you tell them that their identity is in the Lord and don't put it into
Yeah.
their t-ball, their baseball, right? The opinions of others. Do
Mm,
you talk about that?
yeah.
Do they feel safe enough to come to you with anything?
That's really good. And then, kind of to dig a little bit deeper into that, how do you suggest fathers um, really work on teaching their kids about their own identity? I know you said like demonstration really works and talking about it. Is there anything else you would suggest?
Mhm. Well, the neuroplasticity, so when Paul talks in Romans 12:2, right? And renewing your mind and not being of
Mm,
this world. He's referring to the neuroplasticity, which we can change. We can reprogram ourselves, but it's through repetitions. It's no different
yeah,
than going to the gym if you want a big squat or a big bench press. It's all about the repetitions.
that's right. Yeah,
And so they're
yeah.
going to have to continuously do it. And kids are smart. They're
Mm.
not dumb. So if you aren't living out what you're saying, they're going to know you're full of baloney.
Yeah,
You're not going
that's
to
true.
fool them
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's a survival mechanism that they're going to read the energy of their parents. They're going to feel the energy of their father. They're going to feel his nervous system before he says anything.
Mm, that's so
So
good.
they know if you could say a leader by nature.
Mm,
We'll use that word like if you're a quote unquote alpha male worth following, worth leading, if you're regulated and grounded, they will feel that.
mm,
It's not what you say.
that's
So
really good.
when I tell men like you have to have your identity in Christ, like you have to you actually, sorry, I'm gonna slow down. You have to
You're
actually
good.
have that embodied and like live it
Yeah,
out. Because men will
yeah.
say their identities in Christ, especially if they listen to my podcast. It's like, well, what percentage are you embodying? And then they're like, oh, well, on a percentage base, probably 30. it's like, yeah, that's a low number.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get those
Mm-hmm.
numbers up.
Yeah, that's great. I really like that. And then why do you personally think men should protect and lead within the home?
I believe it's how God created us.
Mm-hmm.
When Adam was in the garden, Adam had a relationship with God.
Mm,
They named the animals together. Together, they sorted the animals to find a helpmate.
yeah.
He told Adam to protect and work the land.
Mm-hmm.
He told Adam not to eat from the tree of
Yeah.
wisdom, right? And knowledge. And then he created Eve.
Mm-hmm.
After
Mm-hmm.
all that rapport,
Yeah.
a serpent comes and talks to Eve, and Eve eats the apple. He's with her the whole time, Adam is. Because it
Yeah.
says, and then she turns to Adam, who was with her, and he eats the apple as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now they're naked and they're hiding because they hear God in the garden.
Yeah.
And he calls for Adam and he's hiding and he says, "Why are you hiding?" And he's like, "Who told you you were naked?" He's not asking Eve, and he already knows he's omnipotent. He knew
Yeah.
what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam deflects and puts blame on two others. He
Mm,
says, so he doesn't actually answer God's question.
yeah.
He says, it was that woman, so he's blaming already Eve, that
Mm-hmm.
you gave me. So now he's blaming
Oh,
God.
yeah. Yeah.
He did not call Eve out. Hey, Eve, why'd you eat from the tree? He called
Mm-hmm.
Adam. It was his responsibility. He was given the
Yeah.
command. He was the one who was created to lead. Now, people get all butthurt on social media that the word lead isn't in the Bible. And it's like the technical word Lead is not.
Mm-hmm.
But biblical scholars throughout history have agreed on various other Greek and Hebrew words that indicate that one should lead.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if
I really, oh,
he's
I'm
the
sorry. Go
one,
ahead.
oh, no, no. If he's the one who was called, there's point number one. Mark
Mm,
10:45 says that for the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and gave his life up as a ransom for many. And then
mm-hmm.
if we pair that with Ephesians 5:25, it says, "Husbands, love your wife as Christ loved the church and died, crucified, and murdered for the church."
Mm-hmm.
Like, are
Yeah.
we living those out?
Mm,
So if
that's
we
really
are
good.
not, we are putting all this weight on our wife if we're not leading our household. We're taking our responsibility bricks and we're putting them in her pack.
Mm,
And then the weight of the home, the stress of the home, and it doesn't allow her to be in her true femininity because she's being
yeah.
placed into a masculine role. If
That's really good.
God created us to be in a masculine and feminine, which are complementary roles, they are not the same. God
Mm-hmm.
looks at us as equal in value, but we are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
That makes
Hmm.
sense. Masculine,
Yeah.
feminine, complementary roles are complementary. They don't work without one another, which is why Genesis 2:24 says, "A man will leave his mother and father and be united with his wife, and the two will become one flesh," because it
Mm,
was complementary. We
yeah.
wouldn't need to be one flesh if we were the same.
Mm,
You
yeah.
wouldn't could become one,
Yeah.
right? You need that
Yeah.
complementary.
Mm, that's good.
So I hope that answers your question.
No, that was great. I love that. And I really like how you broke down that chapter in Genesis. I never really looked at it that way. And I think our listeners will really like that too. That was really, really good. Definitely, I'll be reflecting on that.
Yeah,
That's
I
insightful.
I tell men all the time, sin entered the world through Adam, not
Mm,
Eve. He failed
mm,
his responsibility and his duty. He
mm,
stood by passively. He was
yeah.
passive in that moment. He didn't create boundaries. You asked me earlier about peace and order. He did not tell her not to talk to the serpent. He didn't intervene with the serpent. He didn't
Mm,
say, "Hey, Eve, we don't talk to walking serpent dudes," because the Hebrew word describes it not so much as a literal snake.
yeah.
Um, but it's like we don't talk to these creatures. No,
Mm-hmm.
this guy's
Mm-hmm.
deceitful. He does not have our interest.
Yeah.
like, hey, serpent dude, we're going over here. You have a good day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
He did not do anything in the role that we're taught to as men. He
Hmm.
stood by passively and watched. It was like, man, I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna put the decision making on her right now.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna tell God it was her fault and blame her
Hmm.
when you gave me all the commands.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good. I never thought of it that way. And I like that you use the word passively because I think as Christians, that's where we get into a lot of trouble when we just stand by and let things go on. We're passive and we don't make a stand or set a boundary, like
Hmm.
you said. I think that's really good that you shared that. I really like that. And then what is one simple thing that men can do to build and restore relationships?
Ooh, consistency. So, how
Yeah.
to rebuild trust is consistency over time.
That's good.
And it's on her timeline or whoever you're trying to rebuild it with. Most likely,
Yeah.
they've blown the trust of their wife.
Mm,
So
that's good.
that timeline is between her and God. But
Yeah.
you have to be willing to keep throwing as much dirt in that hole that you dug as possible. And she
Mm,
determines when it's full.
yeah. Oh, that's good. I really like that. And then why should homeschooling dads and dads in general take responsibility in the home?
Oh, it's the Adam and Eve thing. I think you can
Mm-hmm.
go because it all comes back to you. When
Yeah.
you're at the gates of heaven, he's not going to ask like, how did your wife do?
Mm, yeah.
Was she okay?
Yeah.
Did I pick a good one for you? Right?
Yeah.
No, he's gonna tell you because it goes back to the responsibility. I tell men, if your wife cheats on you, that's your responsibility. And men get
Mm,
all like ruffled. If your
mm,
son is suspended from public school, that's your responsibility. If
yeah.
your son is drinking alcohol at like 14, 15, 16 years old,
Mm-hmm.
sleeping around, that's your responsibility.
Yeah.
Your daughter
Yeah.
sleeping around at 16, that's your
Mm,
responsibility. Now,
mm,
is it their fault? Fault and responsibility is different,
yeah. That's good.
right?
Yeah.
Because we can't, because yes, those people in those examples, they did take on actions and they should be held accountable for those actions. But
Mm-hmm.
as the father and husband, it is your responsibility. You're in control of the culture. And too
Yeah.
many men don't cultivate culture in their home. They let one happen on accident. It's
Yeah.
purely on accident.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they don't know why their son's drinking at 16 and their daughter's sleeping around at 16 and their wife is trying to hook up with her personal trainer because he's the only one
Mm-hmm.
who gives her attention,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
Christian families want to think that those are like the exception, but it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
Yeah.
not. I'm sorry.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And then kind of just to dive a little deeper personally, how did you learn these things or teach these concepts to yourself? Because you're well versed in the Bible and you definitely have backed things up with science. And so how did you learn all this?
Oh, it was like a long road.
Mm,
I wish I had a mentor, whether that be in person or online, but I didn't. I
mm,
had to go the like rough route of our marriage was in a bad place.
mm,
And I was so frustrated. And God was like, bro, look in the mirror.
mm,
And
yeah.
because I was always trying to change my wife to have her be more like me. You
Mm,
shouldn't care. Don't let that bother you. Because I would communicate with her like she was a man. I would
yeah.
communicate her with her like she was me.
Mm,
Just do what I do. Just be like me. Because
yeah.
from I felt like I had a lot of things together as a singular person.
Yeah.
But right when we're married, we become one flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus mentions it again in Matthew 19 and in Mark 10. Paul mentions it again in Ephesians that we are of one flesh.
Yeah.
And we already went over Genesis. So I was pretty good in being stable, emotionally sound, all this
Yeah.
as a singular unit. But when
Mm,
it came to like, then now I have my wife, I'm like, I don't get why you have all these emotions. And I never created a safe place for her. So that's
mm,
why I would be like me.
yeah,
So I had to look in the mirror and I had to take complete, utter responsibility.
that's really
I had to
good.
take
Yeah.
responsibility for everything. And then I was
Mm,
reading books, I was listening to podcasts, I was taking on a lot of secular information on what
mm-hmm.
it looked like to be a man, what it looked like to be a husband, the psychology around things, how women operate. And then I ended up just bringing it all back to the Bible
Yeah.
and was like, well, I'm a believer in Christ, so I'm going to take all information and I'm going to throw out what doesn't align with the Bible and I'm going to keep what does.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so I just was like, what would Jesus do? What was the Bible saying about all these same things? And then I put it together, and it took a long time because I
Sure.
didn't have
Yeah.
anyone to show me.
Mm, yeah.
But now I get to take all that information that I learned over years, and by
Mm,
years, I'm talking like 5, 6, 7 years,
yeah.
and got to put it all together for other men. And now me and my business partner, Adam Tyler Free, it's what we do full
That's
time.
amazing. That's
You know.
great. Yeah, wow, that's hard work to really change your perspective mentally. I think it's very difficult, but that's kudos to you for doing that. And now you're impacting so many people and so many families, which
Mhm.
is incredible. And then what are your top three communication practices that all men should learn?
Listening, listening, listening. In communication, so that's just going to be one, but in
Yeah.
communication needs to be physical touch and eye contact
Mm, that's good. Yeah.
because it's going to release the oxytocin. It's
Hmm.
going to allow her to be in a more regulated state with that physical touch. The eye
Yeah.
contact releases oxytocin in women. It
Hmm.
releases a little in men, but it
Yeah.
releases 3 times the amount in women. So I'm
Hmm.
like, you got to touch her and look into her eyes. And
Hmm.
then you got to just listen.
Hmm.
And I guess the third one when it comes to communicate is kind of what we were talking about earlier of like, you don't need a fix. Understand
Yeah.
that what she's saying may not be literal because she's
Hmm.
trying to put words to match her feelings and emotions inside.
Yeah.
And often women are like, will say, and maybe you've said this when you're talking to like a loved one, well, it's not, I didn't mean it that way. Or
Mm,
because they'll be
yeah.
like, you said this. And it's like, well, I
Yeah.
didn't mean it that way. Because us men, we
Hmm.
take words literal. Well, you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to understand that it's not what they said, it's what they're trying to say through those emotions and have an understanding of that.
Mm, that's good. That's really good.
Because my
Um,
wife, when we were back in the day, we would get in an argument and I'd be like, well, you said this. And she's like, but it's not what I mean. And I'm like, well, you said it.
yeah, I know. I know. I found myself doing that. And I think that's good to know, just personally how, like, if women listen to this to learn how men think, you're giving the perspective on a man's brain, which is really important because I feel like there is um a divide. Like we really don't take time to learn about the other gender. And I think you're bringing great awareness to this. And yeah, I applaud you. It's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then why should men build standards and respect within the home?
Oh, I mean, I feel like that's like a whole hour conversation in itself. Well, just think about that standards.
Yeah.
Too many people don't have standards. And if
Hmm.
you don't have standards, it's how you get cultural rot.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so true.
Because you get too few men who have standards, and then next thing you know, you have boys taking showers in women's locker rooms.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I'm talking about boys who are just being weirdos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, And you got men who are wanting an excuse to go into women's bathrooms because men allowed that to happen because they had no
Yeah.
standards.
Mm.
Like I love I love women. I have an amazing wife that I never realized how much I would love her. I never
Mm,
knew how much I would love any person on earth until right now with my wife.
mm.
I have an amazing
Yeah,
relationship with my mom and my
that's great.
sister.
That's
I
awesome.
say all this because, for context of the next thing I'm about to say,
Sure.
it is men who allow the negative things in culture to happen, but it's also men who allow the great things.
Mm,
And if we don't have standards, one of them is going to happen over the other, the cultural rot,
so true.
right? It's men who created the United States, created the greatest economies, right? Yes,
Yeah.
there's women supporting us through all those things. Henry Ford says behind every successful man is a woman with a sharp stick. But it's
Mm,
also men who allow these things like other men just going into the bathroom willy-nilly and not saying anything about it.
yeah.
Okay. We can't put that on like, well, women wanted to do vote for this. It's like, no, it's because you weren't even leading your household. You're not even
Yeah.
aligned politically with your own wife
Mm, yeah.
because of your lack of leadership. The
Mm-hmm.
amount of Christian homes that vote completely different
Mm-hmm.
is an alarming number just among the
Yeah.
Christian community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's like, and you guys don't see that there's a problem that you don't have a standard and aren't
Yeah.
leading
Mm-hmm.
and creating any sort of like leadership to where she truly trusts your decisions.
Yeah.
Not because she was just like, well, I just grew up with a different opinion. It's like, well, if we are of one flesh, it doesn't mean we agree on everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She may not agree with your decision, but she at least respects and supports it.
That's right. That's right. That's really good. Yeah, I think not being of the same standards and values or political opinions that can really erode the family and cause just like a downfall, really. I think
Hmm.
being on those two separate opinions, that's because then how do you raise your kids if your husband leans this way and the wife leans this way? I think, yeah, I really appreciate what you said. That's important. Very
Yeah,
important. Yeah. And then do you we kind of touched on this a little bit already, but if you'd like to go deeper, that would be great. Do you think it's important for families to build goals and values?
for sure.
Yeah.
100%. Otherwise, you're just a leaf being tossed in the wind
Yeah.
if you don't.
Um,
And that starts again with the husband. And then
yeah.
you bring in your wife. It's like, hey, here's some of the things that I want to do. Because King Solomon, the wealthiest man to ever have lived, he wrote Proverbs 31.
Yeah.
All the good things about a wife, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's
Mm-hmm.
worth more than gold and rubies.
Yeah.
She's she speaks wisdom into the home and has faithful instruction on her tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She's so respected that her husband, there's a seat at the table again amongst the like the most wise amongst the town or whatever that one
Yeah.
is
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
she's a reflection of him just as
Yeah.
he's a reflection of her. If you take everything into consideration about Proverbs 31, like your goals and values in your home, you need
Yeah.
to have her involved in that.
Mm, mm. That's good.
It's not something that you just create and then say, this is what we're doing,
Yeah.
right?
Really good.
The word intuition, the literal word intuition, just like the literal word lead, is not in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a number of verses that you could replace the word with intuition, and the word a woman's intuition is biblical.
I like that.
Um, so if we take her intuition into consideration, what King Solomon says about a good wife in Proverbs 31, she's going to multiply all of your efforts. You want those goals to happen? Like you need her involved. Otherwise, they're not going to happen. You want those values to be instilled and an
Yeah.
understanding, like you need to have her involved.
Hmm. That's really good. I like that a lot. I like that part about a woman's intuition is biblical. I never thought of it that way. And yeah, oftentimes I'll feel like, well, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, but I feel like this is the best choice. And you can evaluate it biblically, like what would God say
Mhm.
about my choice? And I do think that more often than not, the intuition does lead to a better result. So I really like that you share that.
I
Yeah.
had a different career path opportunity than
Mm,
coaching.
mm-hmm.
And my wife was like, I feel that this is the greatest career choice you can make. And I was like,
Mm,
really? And she goes, yes. And she said, I feel,
mm,
right?
mm-hmm,
She's like,
mm-hmm.
I feel this. And it was like
Yeah,
what you were just describing of like, well, I feel that I don't know what to do, but I feel this is the way I should go.
yeah,
And I was like, okay, because we've been praying about it. And I'm like, all right, I felt God answered the question of the career path at one point because this was starting to grow. But I was like, do I do this? Because I
yeah,
got these other opportunities this way.
sure, yeah,
And she was like, no, I feel this is the single greatest opportunity since we've all ever been together. And it wasn't greatest opportunity money wise.
sure, yeah, yeah,
And so I don't want people to think like, oh man, you have an opportunity to make money through this. It's like, yes, we have an opportunity to take care of ourselves, but
yeah,
that wasn't the thing. And
mm-hmm,
so I was like, well, then I'm gonna go all in.
mm,
And I did.
mm. That's encouraging, I think. So often I'm like, I don't know, am I really on the right? They say
Hmm.
trust your gut, and I doubt that a lot. And be like, but I feel like I should do this, but am I really right? But I
Hmm.
really think that that is encouraging, and I think moms and dads who listen to this will find that as encouraging because it is true. Trust your gut. I mean, we do have the Holy Spirit inside of us, so that's also going to
Hmm.
help.
Hmm.
And like we talked about, there's biblical promises that we can lean on and look to. And to kind of segue a little bit, do you believe that men should work out and take care of themselves physically and mentally through that process?
For sure.
Mm,
100%. That is a must.
yeah,
That is an absolute must. Do not do it to the point where you're idolizing yourself.
sure.
That's
Yeah.
a thing. Like when I post a workout picture or something, people will be like, "You idolizing?" No, all the glory is to him. King David.
Right.
King David talks about how strong he is physically, how in
Mm-hmm.
shape he is physically, but he gives all the glory to
Mm-hmm.
the Lord.
That's great.
I could literally pull up those verses. He talks about how sheer-footed he is because of the Lord, how he's
Yeah.
so strong he can pull back the bronze bow, the bronze bow
Mm-hmm.
because of the Lord, right?
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
enemies will stumble and fall because of the Lord.
Yeah.
Who shall I be afraid of? Like, he is my light and salvation. He's getting ready
Mm.
to literally go to war, and he's like, man, I have it handled because of the Lord.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, we have to. It drives me nuts when I go into a church and the pastor needs to lose 50 to 100 pounds, but you want to tell us about our sin and how our sin's
Mm,
bad, but you can't
mm,
control your own gluttony, your own fork and knife
mm.
sin, that instant
Yeah.
gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Food abundance is very new. But
Yeah.
for some reason in the church in the West, that's an acceptable sin that everyone just
Mm,
like
yeah.
looks past.
Yeah.
No, steward your body. It is, the Bible
Mm,
tells us that it is not our body, but it is his.
right.
And then we want to punish it. There's a
Mm-hmm.
really good video by Wesley Huff.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he actually talks about that our physical body here is the physical body representation that we're going to have in heaven. And he
Mm-hmm.
goes through the scripture and talks about it. And I'm like, dang, some people are going to have some not nice bodies. And we won't know the negative of like no one's going to be a jerk and be like, bro, you're fat when we're in
Right.
heaven, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
we know what it says about heaven in the Bible, that there's no woes, all our pains and suffering are gone. So your
Mm-hmm.
knees from being too overweight and never taking care of that knee pain is going to be gone.
Right.
But it's still a representation of how you stewarded yourself. Like,
Right.
and I
Right.
think even here, it's um, you have no discipline. How are you going to lead your own household if you don't have enough discipline not to like eat everyone's seconds, like
Right.
leftovers for 20 years?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That is really good.
How do your children truly follow and understand you if you don't look like a man who stewards
Yes.
himself like Jesus or King David,
Mm,
and you look like the guy who's like gonna get out of breath carrying groceries up the stairs?
yeah.
Like, can you carry your own kids out of your house if there's a fire? Probably
Mm,
not.
Yeah.
I can like hammer hard on this one. And do you believe in the Shroud of Turin? Do you know
Say it
what the
again.
shroud is? The Shroud of Turin.
I have heard of that. Can you define it?
The Shroud of Turin is what we believe is the literal burial cloth that was on Jesus.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking
Okay.
about. Yeah. Yeah.
So with the Shroud of Turin, they estimate that Jesus was about 5'10" to 5'11". That's how
Hmm.
tall he was.
Hmm.
When everyone else at that time was 5'7".
Oh,
They
wow.
also, yeah, they also believe due to how tall he was, his shoulder width, there's different, because of the blood stains, you can take various measurements, that he was
Mm,
175 to 180 pounds.
mm-hmm,
So he would have had 30, almost 40 pounds on every guy. So he would
mm-hmm,
have looked physically imposing. So in
mm-hmm,
so in Luke 4:28 through 30, when he's preaching at the synagogue and they get angry and they drive him to the edge of town, they drive him to the cliff which the town was built on to throw him off.
mm-hmm,
And in
mm-hmm.
verse 30 it says, "And yet he walked through the center and went on his way." It's like
Mm, yeah,
he knew his purpose, he knew his identity in the Lord. And three, he carried himself with such composure and authority, and
yeah,
he was physically fit. He would have been very
yeah,
lean with the amount of walking he would have done. And
right.
175 to 180, he would have looked like he was an athlete with,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
and so he
yeah,
walks through the center and like essentially calls their bluff. One, because he knew it wasn't his time.
right, right,
And it's like, if he looked like this, now we don't need to get fixated on it. Like, why aren't
right,
we stewarding our bodies?
right. Oh, that's
Right?
good. Yeah, I like that. I didn't know what that meant, but that's good. Like, no pun intended, but that's food for thought. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, I really like that. I'll have to look into that a little bit more, but yeah, that's really interesting. Um, Yeah, so to just kind of wrap up, where can people find you and how can they find, I know you talked a little bit in the beginning about your virtual summit coming up, so if you'd like to
Hmm.
share a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, myself and my business partner Adam Tyler Free, we're doing a summit for men June 13th, where I'm talking about identity and I'm talking about headship. Adam's talking about manhood and community. It's going to be 4 hours long.
Great.
It's People can find it at theascentformen.com, and then it's like backslash the dash summit or something. But
Okay.
theascentformen.com.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on Instagram at Jesse Carstairs. I have
Great.
a men's community, which is called Lions of Faith on School, SKOOL. And then I have a
Hmm.
podcast, the Jesse Carstairs Show. And then me and
Great.
Adam are starting a podcast called The Ascent for Men.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. You really provided interesting perspectives and things that I'm going to take away personally from this, and I know our listeners are going to love it. You brought so much information, and then also you shared about neuroscience and then biblical truth. I loved it. It was great.
Awesome. Well, yeah. And if you ever want to invite me back, we can go deeper on other things.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Great. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, Beth.